Yes, students, now we will revise the registration topic under GST. The provisions with respect to registration is covered in section 22 to 30 of CGST Act, and all the sections are part of your syllabus. I have just given the list of sections here. All the sections one by one will be covering it in this chapter, guys. But before we get into the sections, first we will see, sir, why registration is required. Guys, one of the important conditions to claim credit by the recipient is, as per section 16, is the recipient has to be registered under GST in order to claim credit. Same way, whenever a person is registered under GST on his outward supply, he will be liable to pay GST, but he has all the right to charge and collect it from the recipient by issuing a tax invoice. And they also defined what is taxable person under section 2 clause 107. Who is taxable person means a person who is registered under GST or who is liable to be registered under GST. Now let me explain this. Guys, assume I was liable to get registered under GST as per section 22 or 24, and I have applied for registration and I have got it. So am I called as a taxable person? Yes, I am called as taxable person. Next, assume I was liable to get registered under GST, but still I have not yet applied. Am I still called as taxable person? Yes. Once I am liable for registration, even though I have not applied or even though I have not got the registration, still I am called as taxable person. I cannot escape from the tax liability. Then the last one is, sir, even though I was not liable for registration, I took voluntary registration. Am I also called as the taxable person? Yes. You would also be called as the taxable person, guys. Okay. And the registration under GST is state specific and PAN based. Now assume I have the business in 5 different states in India. Minimum I have to take 5 registration, but all 5 registration will be under my PAN. And within the state, if I have multiple branches, it is optional for me to take separate registration for each branch. If I want, I can take it. If not, I should at least take one registration. But once I take separate registration under my PAN, each registration will be treated as distinct person, guys. Okay. And once a person has applied for registration and registration is granted, he will be issued a registration certificate by the department. And in that registration certificate, a 15-digit GST IN would be mentioned, which is an identification number for GST purpose. Yes, sir. In that 15 digit, the first 2 digits will be a state code and the next 10 digits would be a PAN number, guys. Whatever PAN a person would have given, no. So the next 10 digits, first two digits, as I told you, state code. Then next 10 digits would be a PAN number. Then the 13th digit will be the number of registration in the state. Then 14th will be Z by default. And the last can be a check code. Any number can be allotted by the department. Yes, sir. Okay. And whenever a person get GST IN, in simple, whenever he get registered under GST, he need to display his GST IN on his name board at his principal place of business as well as all the additional places of business like branches. Okay. And whatever GST registration we would be taking, it is one single registration for all the components of GST, guys. Sir, should I take a separate registration under CGST, SGST, UTGST, IGST and all? No, no. Assume I am taking registration under GST in Karnataka state. So I would apply it under the Karnataka SGST Act. Yes. So once I have applied under the Karnataka SGST Act, it is considered that I am registered under all these guys except UTGST. Obviously, when I am registered in Karnataka UTGST, there is no question of UTGST. Yes. So in simple, I need not apply separately under IGST Act and SGST Act as well as CES, guys. That is GST Compensation Cess Act. Okay. Then coming to the section list, I have given the list of section here, whatever we would be covering in this chapter. Important, guys, each and every section is a part of your syllabus. First, we will focus on section 22, 23 and 24, which will talk about who should get registered under GST. Who should get registered under GST? Yes. So actually the equation is like this. Let me just write it here. The equation is like this, guys. 22 plus 24 minus 23. Why? Because section 22 and 24 will tell who should get registered under GST, whereas section 23 will tell who should not get registered under GST. For few persons, the registration has been exempted by way of section 23. So that is what is covered there. Okay, and we should know all these three sections to tell when a person is supposed to get registered under GST, guys. Very important, because they may ask the question connecting one or two sections or all three sections together. So please be very careful with it. Okay, yes. So we'll try to figure out, there are different types of possibilities, guys. So we will try to cover each and everything. So please be attentive. This will take time to cover these three sections itself. It will take time, but let us learn it in detail. First, section 22. Persons who are liable for registration under GST. Okay. 22 subsection 1 is very important because they have referred to this section even in other provisions. Okay. Every supplier shall be liable to be registered in the state or union territory if his aggregate turnover in a financial year. And whenever we are calculating the aggregate turnover, it is as per section 2 clause 6, guys. So what is aggregate turnover? It includes all taxable outward supply, and it is other than the inward supply on which RCM is applicable. So in simple, it is only outward. Okay. So outward taxable supply plus exempt supply plus exports, interstate supplies of a PAN, it should be calculated on PAN India basis. And it will not include anything charged under GST like CGST, SGST, IGST, cess will not be a part of aggregate turnover, guys. So even though I have operations in more than one state, aggregate turnover has to be calculated pan India based. That is all India based, guys. Okay, fine. So if the aggregate turnover is more than 10 lakh in the case of Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland or Tripura, that is special states for registration purpose. In short, I call them as MMNT. Then for other states and union territory, more than 20 lakh. Whereas if the supplier is an exclusive supplier of goods within the state, as per notification, they have increased the limit to 40 lakh. Clear. Actually, section 22 subsection 1 gave the power to the government in case of exclusive supplier of goods. At the request of the states, the 20 lakh limits can be increased to 40 lakh. And few states have requested the government. So accordingly, as per the notification, for the exclusive supplier of goods alone, they have increased the limit to 40 lakh. And we will learn in detail about this 40 lakh little later. Okay, but one thing you have to take care. This is available only for the exclusive supplier of the goods within the state. That is only intra-state supply of goods. But if the person is supplying goods along with financial services, that is extending loans or advances for which in return interest or discount is charged, we learned it in exemption chapter. It is exempt. In short, I call it as financial service. Yes. So assume I am supplying goods along with financial services. Here there is a clarification telling I am considered as exclusive supplier of goods, ignoring this, guys. Even though I am supplying financial services, we are ignoring it. It is considered that I am exclusively supplying only goods. And please be careful, only for financial services they have given that exclusion, not for any other services. So if I am supplying goods along with, assume, consultancy services, then what is the threshold limit applicable for me? It will be either 10 or 20 lakh. 40 lakh will not be applicable for me. Is that clear? I repeat, if I am supplying goods along with financial services, we will ignore the financial services and I would be considered as exclusive supplier of goods. And if I am supplying the goods within the state, am I eligible for 40 lakh limit? Yes, I am eligible. Yes, I am eligible, guys. Okay, fine. Now coming to subsection 2, every person who on the day immediately preceding the appointed day, that is 1st July 2017, the date on which GST was implemented, guys, is registered or holds a license under the existing law that is previous to GST. For example, assume I was registered under the VAT law before 1st July 2017, which we call it as previous indirect tax regime, guys. Or I was registered under service tax, or I was registered under excise duty, which is now subsumed under GST. For me, as a transition, it is mandatory to get registered under GST, guys, as per subsection 2. As on today, it might not be relevant because all the people, whoever was registered already under the previous indirect tax regime, would have already been registered by now, guys. Got it? Yes. Next, subsection 3. Where a business carried on by a taxable person registered under this act is transferred to another person as a going concern, the transferee or the successor shall be liable to be registered with effect from the date of such transfer or succession. So simple. Assume I was carrying on a business which is registered under GST. Now I am selling my business to you. So I am the transferor, you are the transferee. So all the assets and liabilities of my business will belongs to you now. Can I give my registration also to you? No, no, because I have taken the registration under my PAN. So what I should do is I should cancel my registration. I should apply for cancellation of my registration, whereas you have to apply for fresh registration. So irrespective of your aggregate turnover, as you are succeeding the registered business, for you registration is must. Registration is must, guys. Even in this case, irrespective of the turnover of that particular person who was registered under the previous indirect tax regime, is it mandatory for them to get registered under GST? Yes. Okay. Then fourth one, subsection 4. In case of a transfer pursuant to amalgamation or demerger of two or more companies pursuant to an order of High Court or tribunal or otherwise, the transferee, that is the successor, shall be liable to be registered with effect from the date on which the registrar of companies issues a certificate of incorporation. So whenever there is an amalgamation or demerger of a company's, guys, so whoever is a resulting company or amalgamated company, okay, so they have to get registered under GST. And that demerger or amalgamation may be by way of an order of a high court, tribunal, or otherwise. So the transferee, that is the new entity, has to get registered under GST. Is that clear? Yes. So totally there are 4 subsections under section 22, guys, but the most important one is this one. Very important. If you guys remember, in various provisions like RCM, exemption, or even in 9 subsection 5, where e-commerce operator has to pay tax, they have given connection to 22 subsection 1. That is, if the aggregate turnover is within the threshold limit for registration, or if it is more than threshold limit, what is it? We have learned, guys. So please be careful. This is very important. And as of now, have I completely done with this? No. I still need to explain few more things, but before that, we will cover 24 and 23 also. Okay. Now coming to section 24, which talks about compulsory registration in certain cases. Notwithstanding anything contained in section 22 subsection 1, means irrespective of the aggregate turnover, the following categories of persons shall be required to register under this act. So who are those? Person making interstate taxable supply, they told it is mandatory to get registered, but in section 23 they are giving some exemption. So that is why for the first 3 points I have mentioned read with section 23, guys. Read with section 23 because here they told it is mandatory to get registered for them irrespective of their turnover, but in section 23 they are giving some exemption. So you should have a knowledge of both to tell whether they should get registered or not. Okay. Next, casual taxable person making taxable supply. Yes, compulsory registration, but still, even for them, there is one exemption given under section 23. We will see that later. Next, person who are required to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. That is the recipient. For recipient, whenever RCM is applicable, registration is mandatory. Okay, sir. Just keep one thing in mind. For all these 3 sections, for all these 3 cases, we should also refer to section 23. First, we will finish section 24. Then we will go and connect to section 23, guys. Okay. Next, non-resident taxable person making taxable supply. For them, registration is always mandatory. Then, who are those? CTP and NRTP. Okay, in short, I call them as CTP and NRTP. They are covered in section 27. We will be learning it in the same chapter, guys, little later. Okay. Next, persons who are required to pay tax under section 9(5), that is electronic commerce operator on DRAT services. That is Devara Ratyatra services, guys. Okay, so next, 6th one. Every electronic commerce operator who is required to collect tax at source under section 52. Okay, whenever e-commerce operator is supposed to collect TCS, he should get registered mandatorily because he is acting on behalf of whom? Government. Next, persons who supply goods or services subject to threshold limit and conditions through electronic commerce operator who is required to collect tax at source under section 52. Guys, here they are telling electronic commerce operator has to get registered. Whenever they are supposed to pay tax as per 9(5) or whenever they are supposed to collect TCS, they should get registered. This is e-commerce operator. Sir, what about the suppliers? Persons here means the suppliers who is supplying goods or services through e-commerce operator. Should they also get registered? Yes, but subject to threshold limit and conditions. Subject to some threshold limit and condition. What is it? Guys, connecting all this 5, 6 and 7, I will explain you through a chart. I have made one chart for it. You can just come to that. Yeah. Come to this chart. Into this chart. Yeah. So in this case, supplier is supplying goods or services through e-commerce operator. Okay, sir. And they will collect the payment not directly from the recipient, from e-commerce operator. Means actually the recipient, whoever wants to buy the goods or services through e-commerce operator, they will place the order. And once they place the order, the actual supplier will supply the goods or services. Yes, sir. Then the e-commerce operator will collect the payment from the recipient. They will collect their commission or platform fee and pay the remaining to the supplier. Okay. And if the service is supplied by the supplier through e-commerce operator, if it is Devara Ratyatra, that is D-Rath or D-Rath, yes. What is it, sir? Delivery services or local delivery services, restaurant, accommodation, transportation of passengers, H for housekeeping. H for housekeeping. In that case, section 9.5 is telling e-commerce operator, you have to pay GST. So when e-commerce operator is supposed to pay GST, it is mandatory for them to get registered, guys. Because as if they are the supplier, they are liable to pay GST. So in that case, irrespective of their aggregate turnover, they have to get registered. Okay, sir. Fine. If it is any other services other than this, if it is any other services, assume it is consultancy services, advisory services, insurance services, any other services, in that case, economic e-commerce operator, that is electronic commerce operator, has to collect TCS. Once they collect the payment from recipient, before they give it to the supplier, they are supposed to collect TCS. They are supposed to collect TCS as per section 52. And whenever the e-commerce operator is collecting TCS, they are collecting it on behalf of whom? On behalf of the government. And they have to remit it to the government within 10th of next month. For that, they have to get registered under GST, guys. So for e-commerce operator, is registration mandatory? Yes, sir. Registration is mandatory. Okay. So whether e-commerce operator is paying GST as per section 9.5 or whether they are collecting TCS as per section 52, they have to get registered. Okay. Now let us talk from supplier point of view. Sir, if supplier is supplying this services, should he get registered? No, they are the small suppliers. That is why we are targeting whom? E-commerce operator. And in few of the cases, they are clearly told, only if supplier is not registered, then e-commerce operator has to pay tax. Sir, what if the supplier is registered? For example, for D, that is local delivery services only. If supplier's aggregate turnover is more than threshold limit for registration, then supplier would have been registered. He will pay tax under forward charge mechanism. Got it? In that case, should e-commerce operator pay tax as per section 9.5? No, guys. They need not. But should they collect TCS in that case? Yes, they should collect TCS. If e-commerce operator is not supposed to pay tax as per 9.5, then on such goods or services, they have to collect TCS. Okay, sir. Fine. So for this services, let us assume e-commerce operator is paying tax. So he should get mandatorily registered. In that case, supplier who is a small supplier, so he is not registered. Okay. Sir, what if it is any other services? Supplier should get registered only if the aggregate turnover is more than 20 lakh or 10 lakh in case of special states. Whether the services is supplied within the state or outside the state, the threshold limit is applicable. Got it? That is for any other services, guys. Got it? Yes. Next, coming for goods. For any goods supplied by the supplier through e-commerce operator. E-commerce operator is supposed to collect TCS as per section 52. Yes. So in that case, should they get registered under GST? Yes. As per section 24, mandatory registration. Then coming to the supplier, actual supplier. If the supplier is supplying the goods within the state, only in one state, through e-commerce operator, then for them threshold limit is applicable. Only if they cross the threshold limit of 20 lakh or 10 lakh, they should get registered. But this benefit is given only for one state. And they have to give few details like PAN, address, state details and all. And also they would be getting some enrollment number. But they should make sure that they are supplying the goods within the state only in one state. They cannot operate in more than one state. Got it? Yes. So this is for the supplier of goods who is supplying within the state in one state. Sir, what if they are supplying outside the state, sir? What if they are supplying outside the state? In that case, if they are supplying the goods outside the state, it is mandatory registration for them as per section 24, guys. For whom? For the actual supplier. For the supplier, guys. Got it? Yes, sir. Yeah, we shall continue now. So we have covered point number 5, 6, and 7 through a chart, guys. We'll continue with point number 8. Persons who are required to deduct TDS under section 51. Guys, the person whoever is deducting the TDS, they are deducting TDS on behalf of government, and whatever amount of TDS they are deducting under GST, not under income tax. Please be careful. There is a concept of TDS and TCS even in GST, but it is covered only in one section. TDS is under section 51 and TCS is under section 52. Oh. Now the person whoever is deducting the TDS, the amount of TDS has to be deposited with the government within 10th of next month. And for this, they have to get registered under GST mandatorily, guys, because they are handling the government's money. So both whoever is collecting the TCS or whoever is deducting the TDS, for them registration is mandatory. Okay. Next, ninth one. Persons who make taxable supply of goods or services or both on behalf of other taxable person, whether as an agent or otherwise. For example, assume I am a principal who is making taxable supply of goods. Now I have appointed you as an agent to sell goods on behalf of me. So for you, is registration mandatory? Yes, you have to get, because you are supplying the goods which is taxable on behalf of me. I am the one who is a principal who is making a taxable supply of goods or services, and I have appointed you as an agent act on behalf of me to supply taxable goods. For you also, registration is mandate. Got it? Yes. For me, it depends on the aggregate turnover. If my aggregate turnover has crossed the threshold limit, I would have got registered. Now, if I am registered and if you are supplying goods on behalf of me, irrespective of your turnover, you have to get registered as an agent. Okay, sir. Next, 10th one. Every person supplying online money gaming from a place outside India to a person in India. This is for those people who would have built an app or platform which the Indians would be using in India. So for them, whoever is supplying the online money gaming services from outside India, they should get registered under GST in India. Yes. Next, input service distributor. Actually, the last 2 points are not a part of your intermediate syllabus, but still they have to get registration under GST mandatory. So input service distributor means when a input service is received by an entity and invoice is received by this particular distributor, whom we call it as like head office. And whatever credit is available on that invoice will be distributed by this head office to the other branches based on whether they have used that service or not. So the person whoever is distributing the credit to the other branches, which is nothing but like head office, we call them as input service distributor, guys. Okay. Then coming to 12, every person supplying online information and database access or retrieval services from a place outside India to an unregistered recipient in India. So recipient is in India, supplier is outside India, but the recipient who is in India is an unregistered person. So they're asking supplier, even though you're outside India, you have to get registered under GST in India. Okay, guys. So the following people, they have to mandatorily get registered under GST. Yes, sir. Now coming to persons who are not liable for registration. So exemption for registration is given in section 23, guys. So subsection 1. The following persons shall not be liable to registration, namely, clause A. Very important, so please be attentive. Any person engaged exclusively in supplying the goods or services or both that are not liable to GST or wholly exempt from tax. Guys, assume I am supplying only the goods or services which is always exempt under GST or which is outside the GST, like petrol or alcohol, like that. Should I get registered? No. Irrespective of my turnover, I need not get registered. But what if I am making taxable supply along with exempt supply? In that case, I need to check what is my aggregate turnover. And aggregate turnover will include the total turnover including exempt supply. Yes. And if the aggregate turnover is more than threshold limit, I should get registered. I should get registered, but I should pay tax only on the taxable supplies and not on exempt supplies. Is that clear? So I repeat, if a person is making taxable supply along with exempt supply, we need to check their aggregate turnover. If aggregate turnover is more than threshold limit, they have to get registered. If not, no registration. Okay. Next, B, clause B. An agriculturist to the extent of supply of produce out of cultivation of land, in simple, sale of agricultural produce, that is crops. So if a farmer or agriculturist is selling only the crops grown by them, Then irrespective of their aggregate turnover, no registration. Sir, what if they are engaged in manufacturing also? Then we need to check their aggregate turnover. If the aggregate turnover is more than the threshold limit, they have to get registration, guys. Is that clear? Yes. So in simple, section 23 subsection 1 is telling, if I am exclusively engaged in supplying the goods or services which is outside the GST or which is exempt under GST, or if I am selling only crops grown by me, then for me, irrespective of my aggregate turnover, no registration, guys. Okay, sir. Then coming to 23 subsection 2, this has to be read along with section 24. I told you now the first 3 points under section 24 read with section 23. Yes, here also you can see I have mentioned read with section 24. What is it? Following category of persons have been notified by the government as being exempted from obtaining registration under GST law. Okay. Who are those? First one, persons, that is the suppliers who is engaged only in making taxable outward supplies, the total tax on which is liable to be paid on reverse charge basis by the recipient. So if I am a supplier who is supplying goods or services which is always taxable under reverse charge mechanism, as a supplier, I need not get registered. Irrespective of my turnover, I need not get registered. But for recipient, as RCM is applicable, they have to get registered, given in section 24. Whenever RCM is applicable, recipient has to get registered, guys. Okay. But there is one exception. However, nothing contained in this notification shall apply to any person engaged in supply of metal scrap. It is a goods taxable under reverse charge mechanism, guys. But goods which are taxable under reverse charge mechanism is not a part of your syllabus. So that is why you would have not learned while discussing RCM. But anyway, as it is connected here, let me explain it. Okay, I have given a chart for it. So come to the next page. Next page. Yeah, to this point. Come to this chart. This is there in the revision book only. You need to just turn the page. Yeah. Okay. Now assume supplier is supplying goods or services which is taxable under RCM. Okay. So if supplier is supplying only exclusively means only the goods or services which is always taxable under RCM, for them registration is not at all applicable. Irrespective of their turnover might be 20 lakh, 40 lakh, 50 lakh, whatever might be their turnover, they need not get registered. Okay. Whereas the recipient, whenever RCM is applicable as per section 9.3 or 5.3, 9.3 of CGST Act or 5.3 of IGST Act, for them registration is mandatory. They have to get registered. Irrespective of their turnover, they have to get registered because they are the one who is liable to pay GST. Guys, I have given 9.3 of CGST Act or 5.3 of IGST Act because few of the recipients given in 9.3 or 5.3 may not be registered under GST still. Few of them clearly they told RCM is applicable only when recipient is registered. Got it? Yes. But in few cases they mentioned like body corporate or a business entity or a partnership firm or a banking company. If they are already registered, well and good, they will pay tax under RCM. Sir, what if any of these people are not yet registered but RCM is applicable? In that case, they have to get registered mandatorily, irrespective of their aggregate turnover. Got it, guys? Simple, simple. When RCM is applicable, recipient has to pay tax under reverse charge mechanism. Yes, sir. Now, if recipient is already registered, well and good, just pay the tax. And once you pay, that is called input tax, you can claim the credit of it later. Okay. Sir, what if recipient is not yet registered? Now you have to obtain the registration mandatory. Got it? Yes. And I have not mentioned 9.4 or 5.4 of IGST Act, 9.4 of CGST Act or 5.4 of IGST Act because it covers real estate transaction and in the section itself. So if I have to explain section 9 subsection 4, they have clearly told the government can notify the goods or services which are supplied by an unregistered supplier to the registered recipient. So RCM is applicable only when recipient is registered. So already recipient is registered. So again, there is no question of registration, guys, in that case. So that is why I mentioned 9.3 or 5.3 here. Got it? Yes, sir. Okay. But exception is supplier of metal scrap. So for supplier of metal scrap, we have a separate provision. So assume the supplier is supplying a metal scrap and the supplier is unregistered. So if supplier is unregistered, for recipient RCM is applicable, guys. RCM is applicable. So for recipient, when RCM is applicable, he has to mandatorily get registered. Yes. Now, will it be forever? No. Once the supplier's aggregate turnover crosses the 20 lakh or 10 lakh, he should get registered. Who? Supplier. So till when RCM is applicable is till the supplier's turnover crosses the threshold limit. RCM is applicable, recipient has to pay tax, but it is not forever. Once the aggregate turnover of the supplier crosses the threshold limit, he will take registration and immediately RCM will stop and FCM will start. Once supplier takes the registration, no, when will he take registration? When his aggregate turnover crosses the threshold limit. So you will take registration. Once you take registration, FCM will start and RCM will stop. And please be careful, this special provision is applicable only for the supplier of metal scrap. Whereas for other goods and services which is taxable under RCM, if supplier is exclusively supplying only goods or services which is always taxable under RCM, for him, forever exemption from registration, forever. We don't even check their aggregate turnover. Is that clear? Whereas for recipient, it is mandatory registration. They have to take registration and pay GST under RCM, guys. This is for other than metal scrap. Got it? Yes. And metal scrap is a goods. Please be careful. So for a supplier who is unregistered, if he is supplying metal scrap to a recipient, RCM is applicable. RCM is applicable, guys. Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Come back. Come back. Yes, we are done with this point. Next, B. The person making interstate supply of taxable services and having an aggregate turnover of less than or equal to 20 lakh, or in case of special states 10 lakh in a financial year. So in section 24 they told in the person who is making interstate taxable supply has to mandatorily get registered. But now they are telling if you are supplying the services outside the state, for you aggregate turnover is applicable. If your aggregate turnover is within the threshold limit, no registration. If aggregate turnover is more than the threshold limit, obviously they have to get registered. Yeah, here exemption is given only to the extent their aggregate turnover is within the threshold limit of 20 lakh or 10 lakh, guys. Okay. So this is for the supplier of services. Next, goods. Last point. A person including casual taxable person making interstate. Okay, interstate means again outside the state. Supplies of goods having been exempted from obtaining registration subject to the following conditions. What is it? Persons making interstate taxable supply of what? Not any goods, only notified handicraft goods, or persons making interstate taxable supplies of products made by craftsmen predominantly by hand. That is, the major work is done by hand, even though some machinery may be used. Okay, machinery is used, but for a minor work, whereas the major work has been done by hand, guys. So if the supplier is supplying the notified handicraft goods or the goods which is predominantly made by hand, even if it is outside the state, for them registration is not mandatory. And their aggregate turnover should be within 20 lakh or 10 lakh in a financial year. Sir, what if their aggregate turnover crosses the threshold limit? They have to get registered. They have to get registered, guys. Okay. Or, and also one more condition, such persons have obtained a PAN and have generated e-way bill. They have to generate the e-way bill to carry the goods from one state to another state, and irrespective of the consignment value. Whether the consignment value is less than 50,000, more than 50,000, we don't check it. In the following two cases, when they are carrying the notified handicraft goods or the goods made by the hand predominantly outside the state, the generation of e-way bill is mandatory, guys, irrespective of the consignment value. Got it? Yes, so fine. And what is this handicraft goods or goods predominantly made by hand means? Guys, simple. Which like toys or basket or any carpet or candles like this. So if I have to give an example, see there is a city in Karnataka. There is a place called Chenpatna in Karnataka where they are well known to make toys for childrens. And their majority of the people are engaged in that profession only or in business. Okay. But can they sell all the toys, whatever they are manufacturing within Karnataka? May not be. So what do they do? Being a small suppliers, they may carry the toys outside the state and sell it there. So as they are small suppliers who couldn't sell the entire products in one state, they may carry it outside the state to sell it. That doesn't mean that they have to take mandatory registration. So only for them, the registration is exempted until they cross the threshold limit for registration. So if their aggregate turnover is within 20 lakh, or in case of special states, if it is within 10 lakh, they need not get registered. Sir, what if their aggregate turnover crosses the threshold limit? Obviously, they have to get registered. Obviously they have to get registered, guys. Okay, so even for this I have given a chart, so let us just learn that. Yes, come to this. So before RCM I have given one chart, come to that. Interstate supply. Okay, interstate outward taxable supply of what? If it is services, then registration required only if aggregate turnover crosses 20 lakh, or in case of the special states 10 lakh. If it is within the threshold limit, no registration. Any services. Okay. Sir, what if it is interstate outward taxable supply of notified handicraft goods, or the goods which are predominantly made by and by craftsmen, including when the supplier is a casual taxable person? The registration is required only if the aggregate turnover crosses the 20 lakh or 10 lakh limit. And please be careful, in this case 40 lakh limit will not be applicable. Only 20 or 10, guys. Only 20 or 10. Okay. Sir, what if it is any other goods? If any other goods, assume this pen is supplied outside the state, the supplier has to take compulsory registration as per section 24, guys. So only for this goods the threshold limit is applicable, whereas for any other goods mandatory registration. Got it? Yes, sir. So after studying all this, so if I go back to section 24 and understand, so it is like this. So the first point is person making interstate taxable supply of goods only, but other than notified handicraft goods and the goods which are predominantly made by hand by craftsmen. So if any other goods is supplied outside the state other than this two, supplier has to take compulsory registration. Sir, what about services? For any services up to 20 lakh or 10 lakh, no registration. If it is more than 20 or 10 lakh, they have to get registered. So I repeat, this point actually after, see, you don't amend anything. This is how it is actually given in section 24. But after studying 23, what should I understand here is person making any interstate taxable supply of goods other than notified handicraft goods or goods which are predominantly made by and by craftsmen. Got it? Yes. Chalo. We'll continue. Okay. So I told you section 22 subsection 1 gave the power to the government to notify that the 20 lakh limit can be extended to 40 lakh limit for the exclusive supplier of goods within the state. And government has used this power and released a notification telling for the exclusive supplier of goods 40 lakh limit is applicable. But 40 lakh limit is not applicable for following people or in the following cases. What is it? We will see. Threshold limit for registration for those engaged in exclusive supply of goods enhanced to 40 lakhs. So previously it was 20 or 10 lakh. But after this notification for exclusive supplier of goods within the state, 40 lakh limit is applicable through notification. Except means in the following case, 40 lakh is not applicable. So that means in the following case, what will be the limit, sir? It will be either 10 lakh or 20 lakhs. Got it? Yes. So what are those? We will see. First one. Persons engaged in making intrastate supplies in the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, Tripura, Puducherry, and Telangana. So totally 10 states are there. So these 10 states told, no, sir, 40 lakh limit is not applicable for us. Don't apply it. We don't want it. So for these states, it will be either 10 lakh or 20 lakhs. I have given here. So for MMNT, the limit would be 10 lakhs, whereas for the remaining 6 states, the limit would be 20 lakh. For all other states and union territory, 40 lakh limit will be applicable. 40 lakh limit will be applicable, guys. So totally 10 states have been kept outside this notification for whom 40 lakh limit is not applicable. And easy to remember them, guys. Out of 10 states, from year to year, 8 states is as per section 10. So there is a composition scheme with respect to RTM, right? Restaurant supplier or the trader or the manufacturer. So for them, what is the threshold limit? 1.5 crore. But if the supplier is in 8 special states, what is the limit applicable? 75 lakh. So same 8 states we need to take here plus PT. PT means Puducherry and Telangana, additional, extra year, 2 more extra states. So 8 special states as per section 10, same to same, plus 2 more extra year, Puducherry and Telangana. Got it? So for totally 10 states are there. What is the limit applicable for them? If it is MMNT, 10 lakhs. If it is other 6 states, 20 lakh. Okay, so totally 10 are covered here as per first bullet here. Okay, sir, what if it is any other states or union territory? They are eligible for 40 lakh, provided the supplier is exclusive supplier of goods within the state. Within the state, guys. Okay, sir. Next, second one. Persons who are required to take compulsory registration under section 24. So whoever is covered under section 24 is not at all eligible for 40 lakh limit, guys. Okay. Next, suppliers of the following goods, they are not eligible for 40 lakh. So that means they are eligible for how much? 10 or 20 lakh, guys. Okay. Who are those? Let me read it. Ice cream and other edible ice, whether or not containing cocoa, tobacco and manufactured tobacco substitutes, pan masala, fly ash bricks or fly ash aggregate or fly ash blocks, bricks of fossil meals or similar siliceous earths, building bricks, and earthen or roofing tiles. If you can recall, same list we had seen in composition scheme. If a person is the manufacturer of any of these goods along with even aerated water, aerated water is not covered here, okay, but for composition scheme they have told, if a person is the manufacturer of the following goods, then they are not eligible for both the composition schemes. Only if they are a manufacturer. Can they be a trader? Yes, they can be a trader. Whereas here, they are telling suppliers of, whether they are manufacturer or trader, doesn't matter. If your outward supply is any of these goods other than aerated is not covered here, okay, then you are not eligible for 40 lakh limit. Okay, so shortcut is, so for composition scheme, I had given bat tip, but here it is only BT tip. A will not come. I have given A and I have scratched it. Please observe. I have given A and I have scratched it. Clear? So that you should know to remember that exactly. Whereas in composition scheme, the manufacturer of aerated water is not eligible for composition scheme, both the schemes. Whereas here, if I am the supplier of aerated water within the state, am I eligible for 40 lakh? Yes, I am eligible. Please be careful. So BT tip is covered here. BT tip, not bad tip, only BT tip. Or B stands for bricks or blocks, T for tiles, another T for tobacco, ice cream, pan masala. So please be careful. Aerated water is not covered here. Okay. Then the last one. Persons taking voluntary registration under section 25 subsection 3. Sir, a person himself is taking the registration irrespective of his turnover. Then obviously no limit is applicable for him. Got it, guys? Yes. Sir, what about for the supplier of services? For supplier of services, 40 lakh is not at all applicable because it is exclusive supplier of goods. But I told you, if you are supplying goods along with financial services, then financial services will be ignored and you will be considered as exclusive supplier of goods. Okay. So the threshold limit for registration for service providers would continue to be 20 lakh, and in case of special states, it is 10 lakhs, that is MMNT. Got it? Yes. So this I already covered, just now I explained. So threshold limit for registration for suppliers of services or BT tip or goods along with services. So supplier is supplying goods along with services. What is the threshold limit? In case of MMNT, that is Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland and Tripura, it is 10 lakhs. Whereas for other states and union territory, the limit is 20 lakhs. Got it? Yes, sir. Yeah, this charts we already covered. Now coming to, sir, what are special states for GST purpose? So I have compiled it in one table, guys. So which are the special category states for GST purpose under different provisions? In one single table, I have tried to compile it. So please pay attention. Who should get registered? We are almost done. So I'm just taking an example of the states, special states as per the respective provisions. Okay. Guys, as per Article 279A, which we learned in first chapter, there are totally 11 special category states. That is 3 topmost states plus 8 northeastern states. So I have also given the map here, Indian map. You guys can just check. So 3 topmost states means Jammu Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh and Uttarakhand, which we also call it as hilly states. Plus 8 northeastern states, guys. Let me read it out. Sikkim, Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, Meghalaya. So 3 plus 8. So totally, how many special states as per Article 279A people? 11. Okay. And there they are not given any turnover limit and all. They have just classified 11 states as special states. Okay, sir. Whereas for composition scheme covered under section 10(1) and 10(2) for RTM, RTM is restaurant supplier, trader of goods or manufacturer of goods. Okay. For that purpose, they have taken only 8 special states. Out of this 11, they have taken only 8. So you can consider like this: 11 states as per Article 279A minus AJ. AJ means Himachal Pradesh, Assam, and Jammu Kashmir. So are they considered as special for 10(1) and 10(2)? No, it is minus. So 11 minus AJ. So totally 8 states are treated as special for section 10(1) and 10(2) composition scheme, where 75 lakh limit would be applicable for these 8 states. Got it? Let me read out that. Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, Tripura, and Uttarakhand, guys. Whereas these 3 states, what is the limit, sir? 1.5 crore only. Please be careful. For these 3 states, they are not special for composition scheme. They are normal. 1.5 crore is applicable. Okay. Then coming to registration under section 22 subsection 1, there are 4 special states, only 4. MMNT, that is Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. And for Meghalaya and all is there. So please be careful. We need to take Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, and Tripura. And what is the threshold limit applicable for them? 10 lakhs. 10 lakhs, guys, for registration. Okay. Then section 22 read with notification, which gives the limit of 40 lakh. There are totally 10 special states. What are those 10 special states? Same 8 states we need to take plus PT. Same 8 states which is there here plus PT, guys. So I have given there 8 states as per section 10(1) plus Puducherry and Telangana. Okay. So let me just read out that state's name quickly. Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Sikkim, Uttarakhand, Mizoram, Manipur, Nagaland, Tripura, Puducherry, and Telangana. So for this 10 states, 40 lakh limit is not applicable, which means for MMNT, the limit is 10 lakhs, and for the remaining 6 states, it is 20 lakhs, guys. Is that clear? Yes. So where, under which provision, which state is special, I have given it in one table. So once we cover all those things, if you guys can just recall here, you will be having 100% clarity, guys. And this is important, especially because sometimes in the question they will use the state name. So you should know that what is the exact limit applicable. Please be careful with it. So are we supposed to remember all this? Yes, guys, you have to. Okay, sir, fine. So for GST purpose, even this we already covered, but just a repetition quickly. For GST purpose, totally how many states, guys? 31, including Delhi, Puducherry, and Jammu Kashmir. Whereas how many union territories? 5. 5 union territory and totally 31 states, guys. And 5 union territory without state legislature, which are Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Lakshadweep, Dadra and Nagar Haveli, Daman and Diu, Chandigarh, and last one is Ladakh. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Fine. So we are done with who should get registered, guys. Who should get registered under GST? Yes, sir. I will just give few examples. Quickly observe, guys. Quickly we will go through. Tak, 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 tak. Yeah. So these are few examples with respect to section 22. Assume I am the supplier of goods within the state. In which states I am supplying the goods? Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Andhra Pradesh. Okay, sir. All are normal states. So what is the threshold limit applicable for me? Assuming in all the states I am supplying only within that state. Okay. What is the limit applicable for me? 40 lakh. Check what is the aggregate turnover. All 3 states put together, it is 45 lakh. So 45 lakh is more than the threshold limit. Should I get registered? Yes. Where and all? Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, AP. In each state, I should get registered. Okay, sir. Now assume I am the supplier of services in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, AP, Andhra Pradesh. So all 3 are normal states. So what is the limit applicable for me for registration? 20 lakh. Check what is the aggregate turnover. 12 plus 10 plus 5, 27. So 27 lakh is more than 20 lakh. Should I get registered? Yes. Where and all? Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, AP. All 3 states I have to get registered. And please be careful. I have told you aggregate turnover means we should take all India basis. You can calculate individually for each branch, but at the end you need to do aggregate. And if your aggregate turnover is more than the threshold limit, in every state, wherever you are making taxable supplies of goods or services, you have to get registered there. Sir, what in any state I am making only exempt supplies or non-taxable supply? For that state, you need not get registered. For that state, you need not get registered. Okay. But while calculating the aggregate turnover, should we include exempt supply or non-taxable supply also? Yes. Yes. I will explain that. Okay. Now, supplier of goods or services within the state. Okay. So, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Manipur, one of the special state. One of the special states. So, what is the limit applicable for me? 10 lakh. Even if I am operating in one special states, then a lower limit of 10 lakh will be applicable for me. Okay. So 10 lakhs. So my threshold limits is 10 lakh, which is applicable for registration. So check the aggregate turnover, which is 16 lakh. So 16 is more than 10 lakh. I should get registered in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, as well as Manipur, guys. Okay. Next, supplier of goods and services, both within a state. So that means no 40 lakh. No 40 lakh. Which states? Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. All are normal states. So what is the threshold limit applicable for me? 20 lakh. Sir, why not 40 lakh? Because I am also supplying services along with goods. And when they just mention services, don't assume it is the financial services. Assume other than financial. Okay. So 20 lakh is the limit applicable. Check what is the aggregate turnover. It is 23 lakh. So 23 is more than 20 lakh. So I should get registered in Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, as well as Kerala, guys. Okay. Next. So I am the supplier of goods along with financial services within the state. In Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala, all are normal. And even though I am providing financial services, we will ignore and we will consider that I am the exclusive supplier of goods. In that case, what is the threshold limit applicable for me? 40 lakh. And check what is the aggregate turnover. 8 plus 5 plus 10, 23, which is less than 40 lakhs. Registration not required. Registration not required, guys. Okay. Then as per section 23, if I am supplying only non-taxable supply, assume alcohol or petrol, should I get registered? No. Irrespective of my turnover, no registration. Assume I am supplying only exempt supply, which is exempt under GST. Should I get registered? No. In both these cases, irrespective of my turnover, I need not get registered, guys. Okay, sir. Next. Supply of taxable services is 12 lakh. Supply of exempt services is 10 lakh. So I am supplying both taxable as well as exempt. So should I get registered? Depends on my aggregate turnover. What is the threshold limit applicable for me? 20 lakh, assuming I am operating in normal states. Okay. If state name is not given, go with normal states, guys. Okay. So 20 lakh is the limit applicable, but my aggregate turnover is 12 plus 10, 22 lakh. So 22 is more than 20. Should I get registered? Yes, but paid GST only on 12 lakhs. Should I pay GST on 10 lakhs? No. Aggregate turnover includes exempt supply. And if aggregate turnover is more than threshold limit, I should get registered, but pay GST only on taxable supplies, guys. Clear? Whereas if I am a composition supplier covered under section 10, if I am a manufacturer or restaurant supplier, then I have to pay tax on total turnover. But now we are talking about the person who is under section 9. If he is taken registration, he should pay tax only on the taxable supply of goods or services, guys. Is that clear? Yes. So, next, as per section 2 clause 6, aggregate turnover includes mainly taxable outward supply plus exempt supply. And what is exempt supply is given in section 2 clause 47. Exempt supply includes nil rated supply, wholly exempt supply plus non-taxable supply. So while calculating aggregate turnover, if there is any exempt supply or nil rated supply or non-taxable supply like alcohol or even petroleum products and all, should we take it? Yes, in aggregate turnover calculation, we should take it. And in addition to this too, I have given only the main two items. In addition to this, exports, interstate supply between the distinct person has to be considered, guys. Even that has to be considered. Okay. Few more example. Assume I am the supplier making following supplies in Maharashtra state, which is a normal state. I am supplying alcohol for 45 lakh and laptop for 6 lakh. So only one taxable supply is there. So in that case, should we check aggregate turnover? Yes. As I am supplying goods within the state of Maharashtra, 40 lakh is the limit applicable. And my aggregate turnover is more than 40 lakh. Should I get registered? Yes, in Maharashtra. But pay GST only on 6 lakh. Clear? Because on 45 lakh, GST is not applicable. But should it be a part of aggregate turnover calculation? Yes. But now listen. Assume I will scratch the Maharashtra part. I am supplying alcohol in Karnataka and laptop in Maharashtra. Okay. Now, what is my aggregate turnover? 51 lakh. Should I get registered? Yes. Where? Only in Maharashtra. Should I take registration in Karnataka? No. Why? Because in Karnataka, I am not making any taxable outward supply. In my aggregate turnover, we should include it. But while taking registration, should I take both in Karnataka as well as Maharashtra? No, guys. No need to take registration in Karnataka because I am making only the supply of goods which is outside the GST. Even instead of alcohol, if it is petrol, also same story. So I need to take registration only in the states where I am making taxable outward supply, guys. Okay. Next, supplier making following taxable supplies in Karnataka. Okay. So following supplies, what is it? Petrol 30 lakhs, pen which is included in GST 15 lakh. So aggregate turnover applicable for me, the threshold limit is 40 lakhs, but aggregate turnover is 45 lakh. So more than 40 lakh. Should I get registered? Yes, in Karnataka, I should get registered. But I should pay GST only on 15 lakh, guys. That is on the taxable outward supply. Okay, sir. Next, assume I am making supplies in the states of Kerala, within Kerala. What's the threshold limit applicable for me? Assume I am supplying only banana and banana chips, goods only. So within 40 lakh. 40 lakh is the threshold limit. Okay, sir. So supply of banana is an agricultural produce. Yes, exempt. Supply of banana chips is taxable. Okay, 12 lakhs. So what is the aggregate turnover? 42 lakh. So 42 lakh is more than 40 lakh. Should I take registration in Kerala? Yes, but pay GST only on 12 lakhs. Is that clear? Sir, what if I am supplying only banana in Kerala and my aggregate turnover is 50 lakh? No need to take registration. As per section 23, if I am supplying only the crops or agricultural produce, irrespective of my turnover, I need not get registered, guys. Is that clear? Yes, sir. Fine. We'll move forward. Done. Completely done with three sections, guys. 22, 24, and 23. First, better read 22, 24, then go and read 23, guys. Got it? Yes. So we'll move forward. Now, we have understood who should get registered. Now we will see how. How. So what is the procedure for registration? Every person who is liable to register under the CGST Act must do so within 30 days from when he becomes first liable for. Okay. Once I am liable for registration, whether as per section 22 or 24, I should apply for registration in GST REG 01 within 30 days, guys. Or as per the proviso, if I am a casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person, 5 days prior to the commencement of business, I need to apply for registration. And we will talk about this two people in section 27, guys, in the same chapter. And PAN is mandatory to get registered under GST. Exception is for NRTP because they may not have PAN. NRTP means non-resident taxable person. And they have also made Aadhaar authentication mandatory now. So for the person, this sections were added later, guys. That is section 25, 6A, 6B, 6C and all was added later. It was not from 1st July 2017. Okay. Now, before this provisions was added, if any person has already obtained the registration, they have to get their Aadhaar authenticated. If not, their registration can be cancelled. Their registration can be considered as invalid. Whereas once this provision is introduced, any person is freshly applying for registration has to get their Aadhaar authenticated at the time of registration itself. Got it? Yes. Let us see. 25(6)(a). Every registered person shall undergo authentication or furnish proof of possession of Aadhaar number. That is, whoever has already taken registration before this provision was introduced. Okay, sir. Fine. Then 25(6)(b). For fresh registration, every individual shall have to authenticate himself with Aadhaar number. Means whoever is applying for a fresh registration after this provision was introduced, they have to get Aadhaar authentication at the time of registration itself. Okay. Then 25(6)(c). In case of a person other than the individual such as partnership firm, AOP, BOI, company, trust, etc. for getting fresh registration, authentication shall be done by the Aadhaar number of a partner, means whoever is the face of that entity. That is the partner, authorized representative, managing director, trustee, etc. Okay, sir. And registration under GST is state-wise, and there are no centralized registration under GST. Sir, I have business in all the states in India and all union territories. So can I take one centralized registration? No. In each and every state and union territory, I have to apply for registration separately and I have to obtain it under my PAN. All registration will be under my PAN. Okay. A business entity having its branches in multiple states will have to take separate state-wise registration for the branches in different states, guys. A person having a unit in SEZ or being a SEZ developer shall have to apply for a separate registration even though it is within the same state. Because for GST purpose, SEZ is considered to be a location outside India. As distinct from a place of business located outside the special economic zone in the same state or union territory. A person who has obtained more than one registration, whether within the state or outside the state, each registration will be treated as distinct person, guys. If you remember, while covering schedule 1, we have spoke about this distinct person. As per para 2, if there is a supply between related person or distinct person in the course or furtherance of business, even without consideration, it is a supply. Correct. So there itself we discussed who is related person, who is distinct person and all about the registrations. Hope you remember it. Yes. Okay. And in rule 10, they have given what is the effective date of registration, guys. Okay. In case the application is submitted within 30 days, the date on which the person become liable for registration is the effective date of registration. Whereas, sir, what if the application is submitted after 30 days? Then the date of grant of registration is the effective date of registration. So I will explain with an example. Just pay attention here. Assume I was liable for registration as on 1st January 2026 as per section 22 or 24. I was covered in either of the sections. Okay. And I applied for registration on 15th January in GST REG 01. That is an application for registration. And registration was granted to me on 20th January in REG 06. That is the form number for registration certificate. Okay, sir. So I applied within 30 days. So what is the effective date of registration is as per rule 10, 1st January, the date on which I was liable. So I am called as a registered person from what date? 1st January 2026, guys. Okay. Next example. I was liable on 1st January, but I applied for registration on 14th February, special date. Yes. And registration was granted on 20th February. So as per rule 10, I am called, okay, as per rule 10, I am called as a registered person from what day? The day on which registration is granted to me. The reason being is I didn't apply for registration within 30 days, guys. Still registration will be granted, but from the day on which the registration is granted is I am considered as a registered person. And in that case, actually, I will not get the benefit of section 18, if you remember. That is the input tax credit on the stock. That benefit will not be available in this case. Okay, sir. Fine. We'll continue. Next, bank account details may be furnished after obtaining the registration certificate as per rule 10A, but within certain time. What is it? A registered person has an option to give his bank account details after obtaining the registration, but within 30 days from the date of grant of registration or before furnishing the details of outward supply under section 37 in GSTR 1 or using invoice furnishing facility, whichever is earlier. So if a person has not given his bank account details at the time of application, he has to give the bank account details within 30 days from the date of grant of registration or before filing first GSTR 1, whichever is earlier. Whichever is earlier, guys. Or if they are following QRNP, their first IFF. For the first 2 months of the quarter, they have to give the details of outward supply in IFF. No, that one. Okay. But for the first IFF, we need to take. That is for the first month. Okay. Exception is no relaxation for TDS deductor, TCS collector, or the person who have obtained voluntary registration. For them, at the time of registration itself, they have to give the bank account details. Okay, sir. Then, sir, what if in case I have obtained the registration is granted, but the bank account details is not given within the time given in rule 10A, then my registration is liable to be cancelled. The proper officer can issue notice to me to cancel my registration. Can he take a step? Can a proper officer take a step to cancel my registration? Yes. Next, unique identity number. Section 25, subsection 9 and 10, read with rule 17. Any specialized agency of United Nations organization or any multilateral financial institution and organization as notified under the United Nations Privileges and Immunities Act 1947, or consulate or foreign embassies of foreign country, that is foreign embassies in simple, is required to obtain UIN from GSTN portal, and it is centralized. So should we obtain it for each and every state? No. So these are the people who are providing services for their home country but in India, and they have to obtain UIN in India, guys. Okay. And it is centralized. Should they take it in each state? No. Sir, why should they obtain UIN? Guys, for whatever GST they pay in India, we give a refund of it. They are like our guest, So we are giving a refund of whatever GST they have paid on their inward supply. So for that, they should have a unique number called unique identity number, guys. And it is centralized. Please be careful. And the person, whoever is having UIN, we don't treat them as the registered person. We don't treat them as registered person. Hence, they are not taxable. Now assume I am a registered person under GST. I am making any supply to a person who is having UIN. Is it a B2B supply or B2C supply? It is B2C supply. It is a B2C supply, but still, whatever tax the person who is having UIN is paid under on his inward supply, they can claim a refund of it. They are giving a refund of it. But for me, is it a B2B or B2C supply? B2C, guys. For me, it is a B2C supply. Because if a person is having UIN, we don't consider them as registered person. Okay, sir. Then, as per section 26, which is a small section, now assume I have applied for registration under Karnataka SGST Act and registration is granted. Should I separately apply even under CGST Act? No, it is deemed approval. What if it is rejected? Assume I have applied for registration under Karnataka SGST Act and they have rejected. Can I apply under CGST Act and check it? No, no. It is deemed rejection even under CGST Act, guys. Got it? Yes, section 26. Now, coming back to 25 again. 25 we have not yet done. The procedure I have given you. There are two parts in the procedure, guys. Part 1 is the responsibility of the applicant, whereas part 2 is the responsibility of the proper officer. Okay, that is the department. Proper officer is nothing but GST officer, guys. In income tax, we call assessing officer, no? The income tax officer is called as what? The assessing officer. Whereas here under GST, we call them the GST officer as the proper officer. Okay, let me read it. Procedure for registration, part 1. Means as an applicant, what should I do? Every person who is liable to get registered and the person who is seeking voluntary registration shall, before applying for registration, declare his permanent account number, that is PAN, and state or union territory in part A of form GST REG01. So REG01 is a form number in which we need to make an application for registration. It will have two parts, guys. Part A, part B. Okay. So you need to give your PAN number and the state details in part A. Okay. Then PAN is validated online by common portal from the CBDT database and is also be verified through separate OTPs sent to the PAN linked mobile number and email address. Okay. They will also cross check with CBDT database, and for even income tax purpose, what is the unique number? PAN. So to some extent they are linking, guys, income tax and GST. So assume in GST I have disclosed as sales, but in income tax I have not disclosed it. Then it will lead to mismatch. It will lead to mismatch. Or even if it is vice versa. In one place I have disclosed but not the other. Then it will lead to mismatch of figures, guys. The person may end up receiving the notice. Temporary reference number, that is TRN, is generated and communicated to the applicant on a validated mobile number and email address. Okay, TRN. As soon as we give this detail, a TRN will be generated. Okay. Using the TRN, we need to give the details of the business in part B. Business details has to be given in part B. Okay, let us see it. Using TRN, applicant shall electronically submit application in part B of application form, that is GST REG01, along with specified documents at the common portal. Part B of the application contains the details such as constitution of the business, jurisdiction, option for composition, means if you want to straight away start with section 10, you can choose here. If not, you can ignore. Date of commencement of business, reasons to obtain registration, address of principal place of business, and nature of activity carried out therein, details of additional place of business, details of bank accounts, details of authorized signatory, and other authentication. And guys, assume I have multiple branches within a state, but I am taking single registration. In that case, one branch I can specify it as principal place of business. All other branches I can disclose it as additional place of business. But do I have an option to take separate registration for each branch? Yes. Within the state also I can take separate registration for each branch. But in that case, they will be treated as distinct person. If there is any movement of goods from one branch to another branch, even without consideration, and if the branches are separately registered, it is treated as supply as per para 2 of schedule 1, guys. So that will lead to an extra compliance and all. So better would be any person to take one registration in one state in order to reduce the compliance burden. Okay. And for each registration, return has to be filed separately, payment has to be made separately. So simply a dick. Okay. Next. On receipt of such application, an acknowledgement in the prescribed form shall be issued to the applicant electronically. A casual taxable person, that is CTP, applying for registration gets a TRN for making an advance deposit of tax in his electronic cash ledger, and an acknowledgement is issued only after the said deposit. So about this, I will talk in section 27, guys. As of now, we will keep it on hold. Okay. Application shall be forwarded to the proper officer. Okay. Once all this information in part A and part B is submitted by the applicant, the application on the details will be forwarded to the proper officer. That is either the state officer or central officer. Okay. The procedure after receipt of application by the proper officer is depicted in part 2. Okay. The applicant responsibility done. Now the proper officer, what right does he has? Okay. He will check whether all the details given by the applicant is it correct. Okay. So proper officer examines the application and accompanying documents. If the same are found in order, everything is proper. Guys, see, we need to learn this in two parts. First part is this one. Okay, this one. The other one is this. Okay, first let us focus on the first part when all the things are smooth. Oh. If same are found in order, okay, sir. Yes, everything is in order, sir. The proper officer is happy with the application, so is straight away granting the registration, even without physical verification. Even without physical verification, is granting the registration straight away. So once an applicant has made an application, if proper officer is happy with everything, within 7 working days from the date of submission of application, without certificate verification, means without physical verification, if the applicant successfully validates the Aadhaar authentication, means applicant while making the application itself, he has made the Aadhaar authentication. In that case, the proper officer also is happy with all the information. He doesn't require any other additional information. He also doesn't want to do any physical verification. Straight away, he will grant the registration within 7 working days from the date of application of registration, guys. Okay, sir. Next, sir, all the details are okay. The proper officer doesn't require any additional information, but he wants to do Aadhaar authentication. Sorry, he wants to do physical verification. He wants to do physical verification. Physical verification means the proper officer will physically come and visit the place of business of an applicant, take the photographs and upload the details on GST portal, guys. That is in REG 30. He will upload all the details of whatever he has collected during physical verification in GST REG 30 on the common portal. Okay. So when will the proper officer come for a physical verification means any of these three cases. Any of these three. When is it? I will read this. Okay. Yes. One by one. First, where applicant fails to undergo Aadhaar authentication, does not opt for Aadhaar authentication. Okay. Means I am not at all opting. Means I am an applicant. I am not at all opting for Aadhaar authentication for some reason. Or else I have opted for Aadhaar authentication, but I am not able to do it. Why, sir? Maybe I am not getting OTP. I'm not getting OTP. So even though I want to do Aadhaar authentication, I'm not able to do it. Okay. Or else second one, where the proper officer deems it fit to carry out the site verification. Okay. Means even though Aadhaar authentication is done, proper officer is feeling, I want to physically verify once. Let me go and check on that. Okay. The last one is system is identifying that the applicant is a risky applicant. Maybe because of the past or history. Okay, where a person who has undergone Aadhaar authentication is identified on the common portal based on the data analysis and risk parameter to carry out the verification, site verification. So this is system based, guys. So in any of these three cases, please listen here. The proper once an applicant has submitted an application for registration, the proper officer will come for physical verification. He will do physical verification and update all the details of physical verification, and he should grant the registration within 30 days, guys. So he should complete two things. One is physical verification and grant registration. Actually, in fact, three things I will tell you. So once I have made an application, assume the proper officer wants to do physical verification for any of this reason. Okay, so he should come and do physical verification, update the details of physical verification on the GST portal in GST REG 30, and he should grant the registration. All these three he has to complete it within 30 days from the date of application, guys. From the date of application. Let me read it. Registration is granted within 30 days of application after verification, that is physical verification of site and prescribed documents. Is that clear? So hope you guys have understood. Now, sir, I repeat, please listen. I have made an application for registration. I have made an application for registration, and the proper officer is happy with the application, and he doesn't want to do any physical verification, then he will grant the registration within 7 working days. No physical verification, nothing. Okay, first case. Second one, no, the proper officer wants to do physical verification for any of this reason. In that case, you need to do physical verification, update the details of physical verification, and grant the registration within 30 days, guys. Hope you understood. Yes, sir. So I've just given details here. You can see. Actually, this is what the format. Whenever the proper officer is doing the physical verification, no? Assume I have applied for registration on 1st October. But the proper officer doesn't want to grant the registration straight away. He wants to come and physically verify my place of business. Okay. So registration will be granted within 30 days of submission of application after physical verification. Okay. So he should do the physical verification and grant registration within 30 days from 1st October. Within 30 days from 1st October. Okay. But the 30 days time period will get over here, no? At least 5 days before this, he should have completed physical verification and update the details of physical verification on GST portal in form GST REG 30. Within what time? At least 5 working days prior. Prior to what? The end of this time. I repeat, once I have made an application, physical verification has to be completed and registration has to be granted within 30 days, right? Yes. So at least 5 days before this, physical verification has to be completed and the details of physical verification has to be updated by the proper officer in form GST REG 30 on the GST portal at least 5 working days prior to this. And within that 30 days, he should grant the registration. Is that clear? So all this task has to be completed within 30 days. But whereas this task they're telling, you will maximum get like 25 days for that. Okay. So this task has to be completed at least 5 days before this deadline. Got it? Yes, sir. Sure. Okay. So this was like smooth procedure where the proper officer is not asking for any additional information or clarification. What if additional proper officer wants some additional information? Now, if same are found in order, no. Proper officer wants more clarification, more information, more documents. In that case, he will issue a notice. He will issue the notice. So you can see this part. Let us move to this part now. Proper officer will issue the notice, thereby seeking clarification, information, or documents from the applicant electronically. Okay. And what is the time limit for the proper officer to issue notices? If he is doing physical verification for any of this reason, then to issue notice, what is the time he has? 30 days. Same like here. Here 30 days time was to grant registration, but here 30 days time is to issue notice. Okay, in any of these three cases. And this three case is nothing but the same which is covered here. Okay. No, sir, the proper officer doesn't want to do physical verification, but he just needs some extra information for which he is issuing notice. In that case, he has to issue notice within 7 working days, guys. So if you see the same time limit as given here, but here the time limit was to grant registration, whereas here the time limit is to issue notice. So this is the time limit to issue notice asking for a clarification, guys. Clarification or more information or more documents by the applicant. Okay, sir. Clear? Yes. So I repeat, if the proper officer wants to do physical verification, then he has to issue notice within 30 days. If not, within 7 working days. Okay. Now, once the proper officer has issued a notice, the applicant has to respond to it within 7 working days. He need to respond to it within 7 working days, and whatever proper officer has asked for, he need to provide it. Okay. And once the applicant has responded to the notice, the proper officer is he satisfied with it? If yes, then he will grant the registration within 7 working days. Once he receives the reply, within 7 working days, he will grant the registration if he is satisfied with the reply. Sir, what if he is not satisfied with the reply? Or else the applicant didn't reply at all within 7 working days. He didn't reply only. In that case, the proper officer will reject the registration, guys. So proper officer may reject the application for the reasons to be recorded in writing. That's all. Better luck next time. Got it? Yes, guys. So chalo. So this is all about the registration procedure. Okay, part 1 is easy, part 2 be careful. Actually, if you understand one part, no, the other part becomes easy because the time limits and all is same. Here it is to grant registration, whereas here it is to issue notice. And once notice is issued, to reply for it 7 working days. And once the reply is received, to take final decision again 7 working days. Easy guys, easy guys. Okay. Now, sir, a certain time limit is given to the proper officer to take a call or to grant the registration or to issue notice. What if by chance, if he is silent by the end of that day, then it is deemed approval, guys. Deemed approval. So I have told you here. I have mentioned. If the proper officer doesn't take any action within 7 working days of submission of application, along with necessary details and documents, or within 7 days of receiving the clarification so solicited, that is replied by the applicant, the application of grant registration is deemed to be approved, guys. So, if proper officer is silent at the end of 7 days here, or at the end of 7 days here, or after receiving the reply for the notice, is silent here. So, if he doesn't respond till the end of 7th day, on the 8th day, it is deemed approval. That's all. Okay. Sir, what about this cases? 30 days time is given to the proper officer, no? Yes. So within 30 days, if he doesn't take any call, then it is deemed approval, guys. However, if the other authentication is not opted for or other authentication has failed in validation, proper officer deems it fit to carry out a site verification or where a person who has undergone other authentication is identified on the common portal based on the data analysis and risk parameters to carry out site verification and no show cause notice is issued. In that case, registration will be deemed to be approved within 30 days. Clear? In simple, whatever is the time limit given to the proper officer to take the respective action, if he is silent by the end of the day, then it is deemed approval for the applicant, guys. Got it? Yes, sir. Yes, now we will get into section 27. Guys, 26 we already covered. That is the deemed registration, that is deemed approval or deemed rejection, which is very small. Now, section 27 talks about two special people, that is non-resident taxable person and casual taxable person. They are two special people for GST purpose, guys. So, who are they? It is defined, CTP is defined in section 2 clause 20 and NRTP is defined in section 2 clause 77. First, we will understand the definition. Then we will come back to section 27, guys. Okay. So, section 2 clause 20 defines casual taxable person as a person who occasionally undertakes transaction involving the supply of goods or services or both in the course or furtherance of business, whether as a principal agent or in any other capacity in a state or union territory where he has no fixed place of business. That is, he is already having business, regular business in one state, but he is going to a new state where he doesn't have any office or branch, guys. And is he going there to set up a new branch altogether? No, no, only for a temporary period. He is going there only for a temporary period. For example, assume I am having my regular business in Karnataka. So I am registered here in Karnataka. But I want to go participate in an exhibition which is happening in Gujarat for 20 days. So in Gujarat, should I take a registration? Yes, as a CTP. I should take registration as CTP in Gujarat. Got it? Where I will go and do the business for a temporary period, guys. Okay. Thus, a casual taxable person is someone who has a business in a different state but comes to a different state for a business purpose temporarily. Is he going there and setting up a new branch? No, no, no. If he is going and setting up a new branch, then he has to take regular registration as usual, normal. Yes, sir. And application for registration by CTP has to be made in GST REG 01 5 days prior to the commencement of business. Okay. And they have to file GSTR 1 along with the GSTR 3B for their active period of registration. Sir, should they file GSTR 9 also? No, no. They should only file 1 and 3B for their active period of registration. And their registration will not be active throughout the year. So that is why GSTR 9 is not applicable for them. Because in returns chapter we will be learning whoever is filing 1 have to file 3B. And whoever is filing 1 and 3B has to file 9. Whereas CTP has to file 1 and 3B for their active period of registration, whereas they will not file 9, guys. Okay. Then coming to NRTP. Non-resident taxable person is defined in section 2 clause 77, which defines non-resident taxable person as any person who occasionally undertakes transaction involving supply of goods or services or both, whether as a principal or an agent or in any other capacity, but who doesn't have any fixed place of business or residence in India. Do they have any branch or any residence in India? No, guys. Okay. So, hence, a non-resident taxable person is someone who has a business outside India, but they are coming to India for a temporary period to sell their goods. For example, assume there is a person from Singapore is doing business there, but now he wants to come and participate in an exhibition in Gujarat for 30 days. Okay, he wants to come and sell his goods in exhibition which is held in Gujarat. So for Gujarat, can he take a registration as NRTP? Yes, temporary registration. Yes, sir. In that case, you need to import his goods. When he import his goods to sell it in India, you would have paid IGST because it is on import IGST is applicable. And can he claim the credit of IGST when he actually sell his goods in India? Yes, he can claim the credit of it. But if he purchase any goods in India or if he avail any services in India on which he pay GST, no credit on it. 17 subsection 5. Hope you remember. NRTP can claim credit only on the goods imported by him. Whereas if he purchase anything within India, no credit on it. Okay. And application for registration has to be made by him in REG 09. REG 01 is not applicable for him because for him different procedure. We will ask for different information. And he should also apply for registration at least 5 days prior to the commencement of business. And he should file GSTR 5 for his active period of registration. And what are these returns and what is the due date and all? We will learn it in the last chapter, guys. Chapter 15. Okay, sir. So this is all about the definition of CTP and NRTP. What is given in section 27, we will see now. Oh. Registration granted for casual taxable person or non-resident taxable person is valid for a period of 90 days, which can be further extended for another 90 days maximum, or for the period which is mentioned in the registration certificate, whichever is shorter. For example, assume I am asking registration in Gujarat for 30 days. So for how many days they will grant the registration? 30 or 90, whichever is lower or whichever is shorter, 30 days. Assume I am asking for 100 days. 100 or 90, whichever is shorter, 90 days. Sir, extension 90, no. So straight away 90 plus 90. Can I ask for 180 days? No, no. First you should ask for 90 maximum. If required, you can again request for extension. Okay. Now, assume I have applied for registration as CTP. I asked for 50 days registration. They granted. Later, the exhibition was a super hit. It got extended. Now, can I ask for an extension of 90 plus 40 remaining was there no balance carry forward? Can I ask for 90 plus 40? 130? No, no, no. Sorry. I repeat. Initially, I took registration for 50 days. Okay. Later, can I ask extension for 90 plus 40 balance from here? No, no, no. Maximum extension will be for 90 days, guys. That to maximum. I can ask extension for only 10 days, 20 days, 30 days also. But maximum extension will be given for 90 days. Okay. And whenever CTP or NRTP is about to do business in the new territory, they have to obtain registration before they make the taxable supplies. Yes, 5 days before the commencement of business, they have to make an application for registration. And they should have deposited the tax in advance based on their estimation, guys. Means they are asking, assume registration for 50 days. So for 50 days, whatever might be the estimated tax liability, they have to calculate and deposit that amount in advance, because they are going to a new territory. How will the government trust them? So they have to deposit the tax in advance, but that may not be the exact amount of their tax liability, guys. Okay. Assume for 50 days they estimated their tax liability to be 5 lakh. They will deposit into their cash ledger, which will be credited into the electronic cash ledger. And as and when they supply the goods, when they are liable to pay GST, they can use this amount. Assume at the end of 50 days, sir, only 4 lakh was my output tax. That means remaining 1 lakh you can claim a refund. Sir, what if actual tax liability was 5,50,000? That means you need to deposit 550,000 more. Got it? So there will be a difference, because whatever amount we deposited as advance based on estimation might not be the exact tax liability, guys. So if there is any shortfall, we need to deposit more, or if already excess amount is deposited, we can claim the refund of excess amount, guys. Got it? And even if a person is asking for an extension, for that extended period, whatever is the estimated tax liability, no, even that he has to deposit in advance when he's asking for extension. Got it? Yes, sir. Fine, guys. So this is all about section 27. Yes. And for CTP and NRTP, registration is mandatory. Please be careful. Except for a CTP who is supplying the notified handicraft goods or the goods which are predominantly made by hand. If they are supplying it outside the state also, still for them threshold limit of 20 lakh or 10 lakh will be applicable. Whereas if they are supplying any other goods, mandatory registration, guys. Mandatory registration. And for NRTP, always mandatory. Okay. Then amendment of registration, section 28 read with rule 19. Guys, I would have provided various information in my application for registration at the time when I'm making application. Based on that, registration certificate will be granted to me. Later, what if there is any changes? For example, change in mobile number, change in email address, change in address, anything like that. Can happen, no? Yes. So in that case, I need to apply for amendment. So what is the procedure for applying for amendment is given in section 28 read with rules. I will just try to explain it with a chart, guys. Okay. This is not there in the revision material. You just observe. If you want, you can later, once I complete the explanation, you can just pause, and if you want, you can make a note down of it. Yeah, sure. Whenever there is any changes of the information which is already given by me in an application, within 15 days, I need to apply for amendment. By whom? By a registered person. RP means registered person. Okay. If it is core fields, then approval by proper officer is required. If it is other than core fields, then deemed approval. As soon as I apply, it is deemed approved. Okay. Sir, what is core fields? Change in NAP, that is name of the business or address of the business, and persons, that is the new partner is joining or one of the partner is retiring, plus or minus of the persons who are doing the business, guys. Simple. Plus as well as minus, both. New admission or retirement, death, anything, we need to apply for an amendment. Okay. So if there is a change in NAP, okay, yes. So for that, approval by proper officer is required. So within 15 working days, once a person apply for amendment of NAP, within 15 working days, the proper officer can either approve or he cannot straight away reject. He need to give an opportunity of being heard. So he will issue a show cause notice to a registered person. And once a show cause notice is issued to a registered person, he has to reply for it within 7 working days. Okay. And once the registered person has replied for show cause notice, now the proper officer has 7 working days. And within 7 working days, if the reply of the registered person is satisfied for the proper officer, he will approve, the amendment is approved. Okay. So what if the reply is not satisfied to the proper officer? Or else the registered person didn't reply only for the notice, no reply. In both these cases, the proper officer can reject the amendment, guys. He can reject the amendment. Got it? Yes, very simple procedure. This is what is actually covered in section 28. Very simple. Okay. Then amendment is not possible when there is a change in PAN. For example, I sold my business to you. My business was registered under my PAN. Now, can I give my registration also to you? No, no. I have to apply for cancellation of registration, whereas you have to apply for a fresh registration under your PAN. So in that case, can I apply for amendment or should I apply for cancellation? I should apply for cancellation. Okay. Next, if there is a change in address, it is a part of core fields. But if the address is changed outside the state, then I cannot apply for amendment. For example, I am shifting my business from Karnataka to Tamil Nadu. In that case, as it is a change in state, I need to apply for cancellation of registration in Karnataka and apply for a fresh registration in Tamil Nadu, guys. Is that clear? So in both these cases, amendment is not possible. Amendment is not possible. Yes, I will just show you the chart. You can give an heading, amendment section 28. Yeah, just pause the video and take down. Yes, we will move forward. Now, section 29. 29 talks about cancellation of registration or suspension of registration. Read with rules, guys. Okay. See, there are two scenarios when the registration under GST can be cancelled. One is the registered person, he himself is asking for cancellation, that is as per section 29 subsection 1, or else the proper officer is taking initiative to cancel the registration of a registered person. Why, sir? Maybe the registered person has contravened the provisions of GST. That is why. There are two scenarios. Okay. So when registered person himself is asking, the scenarios would be like this. That is as per section 29 subsection 1, guys. Assume I was carrying on the business from a very long period. Now I want to close. I want to just relax. So I'm closing down my business. Can I ask for cancellation of registration? Yes. Or else I have sold my business to you. I am the transferor, you are the transferee. Now, as I cannot give my registration to you, I need to apply for cancellation of my registration. Got it? Yes, sir. And even I told you, I'm shifting my business from Karnataka to assume other states. Even in that case, I need to apply for cancellation of registration in the state where I had business. Okay. Or else the registered person is gone forever, has died. In that case, the legal heirs can apply for cancellation, guys. Can apply for cancellation. So what is the procedure, sir? Very simple, guys. Very easy. Smooth procedure. Okay, voluntary cancellation as per section 29 subsection 1, that is the registered person himself is asking for cancellation, or if he has died, the legal heirs are asking for cancellations. Okay, legal heirs or legal representative. Okay, so there is an event which is leading to cancellation of registration like sale of business or shifting of business from one state to another state, or I am closing down my business, or the person has died. Okay, there is an event. Within 30 days, the person, the registered person himself or the legal heirs has to apply for cancellation. And the proper officer within 30 days will pass the cancellation order, guys. CO stands for cancellation order. So the proper officer will pass the cancellation order within 30 days of application. That's all. And once the cancellation proceedings is started, still it is completed, the registration would be suspended, guys. I repeat, once the cancellation proceedings is started, immediately it may not be able to closed or completed. So till it is completed, during this intervening period, registration would be suspended. Got it? Yes, sir. Or so 29 subsection 1 we discussed. 29 subsection 2. Here the registered person is not applying for cancellation. Proper officer is taking an initiative. Okay, but he cannot straight away cancel the registration. If any of this contravention has happened, first he has to issue a show cause notice. He has to wait for the reply of the registered person. Only then he can take a final call, guys. Okay, so fine. Let us see. The proper officer may cancel the registration of a person from such date, including any retrospective date as he deemed fit. Where, guys, this is important. They're asking theory questions, straightforward questions on this. When the proper officer can cancel the registration of a registered person. Okay. A registered person has contravened such provisions of the act or the rules made thereunder as may be prescribed. Okay. So which are those contraventions? They are given in Rule 21. The registered person does not conduct any business from the declared place of business after obtaining the registration, is not doing any business from his place of business. Next, issues invoice bill without supply of goods or services in violation of provisions of this act or the rules made thereunder, means is issuing fake bills or bogus bills. Next, violates the provisions of section 171 of the CGST Act. That is, section 171 of CGST Act 2017 contains the provisions relating to anti-profiteering measure. Anti-profiteering measure means the registered person should not make profit in the name of GST, guys. So recently, that is last year, central government gave a Diwali gift to the people of the country. telling we are cutting the rates of GST on few goods or services. But still, even after that, many suppliers were selling the products at the price at which they were selling before the rate cut. That means the rate cut benefit was not passed on to the people. Government clearly told all the business officials, whatever rate cut benefit is there, it has to be passed on to the people. But many of the selling price was not reduced even after the rate cut. So there is supplier trying to make profit in the name of GST? Yes. Yes. Got it. Or else sometimes some suppliers will like from the recipients they will collect 18% GST even though only 5% is applicable for them. Means they are trying to collect higher rate. So they will collect from recipients 18%, whereas to the government they will remit only 5%. Remaining is their profit margin. Can they do so? No, no, no. Sorry, it is a violation. Next, violates the provision of Rule 10A, that is bank account details. If you don't give it within the time limit given in Rule 10A, can the proper officer cancel your registration? Yes. Next, avails the ITC in violation of provisions of Section 16 of CGST Act or the rules made thereunder. Only if recipient has satisfied all the conditions given under Section 16, he can claim the credit. But even though he has not satisfied few conditions, assume he has went ahead and claimed the credit. In that case, can proper officer take an action? Yes. Next, violates the provisions of Rule 86B, that is when monthly taxable supply is more than 50 lakh, at least 1% of the output tax has to be paid through cash ledger. So even though Rule 86B is applicable to the registered person, he didn't follow it. He utilized full credit. Okay, again a violation. Then there is a mismatch of information between GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B, guys. Section 39 talks about GSTR 3B only. So there is a mismatch of outward supply or output tax between GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. Okay, for example, just a minute. Yeah. Assume for December 2025, a registered person has filed GSTR 1 giving the details of outward supply and output tax. As per GSTR 1, the output tax is 10 lakh. Again, for December, he also filed GSTR 3B on or before 20th January, giving the details of output tax as 9 lakh. So there is a mismatch between GSTR 1 and 3B for the same month. Yes. So even in that case, can the proper officer take an action to cancel the registration of a registered person? Yes, guys. So for the same months, if there is a mismatch between GSTR 1 and 3B, then it may give a right to the proper officer to cancel the registration. But now actually, if there is any mistake in GSTR 1, if you have noticed it before filing GSTR 3B, you can amend it through GSTR 1A. I repeat, if there is any mistake in 1 and if you have noticed it before filing 3B, you can amend the mistake in GSTR 1 through GSTR 1A. We will learn about that in returns chapter, guys. Okay, chalo, we'll continue. So done with rule 21, that is clause A. Now coming to clause B, 29 subsection 2 clause B. A person paying tax under section 10 has not furnished returns for financial year beyond 3 months from the due date of furnishing the said return. Guys, this is composition supplier. So the composition supplier has to file GSTR 4 as annual return on or before 30th June of next financial year. So even though the due date is 30th June, they are giving 3 more months. So that is, if they are not filed the returns on or before 30th September, then their registration can be liable for cancellation. The registration is liable for cancellation by the proper officer, guys. Okay. Then C. Any registered person other than the person specified in clause B, that means the person who is under section 9, guys. Okay. Has not furnished the returns for a continuous period of 6 months. Continuous period of 6 months. Or if quarterly return filer, that is who is following QRMP, does not file returns for a continuous period of 2 tax periods. For them who is following QRMP, tax period means what? Quarters. So if they are filing monthly returns and if they are not filed the returns for continuous 6 months, they are covered here. Or else if they are following QRMP, if they are not filed the returns for 2 continuous quarters, they are covered here. Got it? Yes, sir. Fine. And you should know under GST, return filing is on in the sequence, guys. Sequencing of return is mandatory. Means if I have not filed the returns for last month, can I file the returns for the current month? No, not possible. So here they're telling continuous 6 months you have not filed or 2 continuous quarters you have not filed, then the default is covered here and the proper officer will have a right to cancel the registration. Okay. Next, Any person who has taken the voluntary registration under section 25 subsection 3 has not commenced the business within 6 months from the date of registration, simply has taken the registration and he has kept quiet, not doing anything. Then the last one, registration has been obtained by means of fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression of facts, that is by giving wrong information or false information, or I have not disclosed all the facts. Okay, sir. So in any of this case, can proper officer straight away go ahead and cancel the registration, guys? No, no, no. First, he has to give the opportunity of being heard. Means he will serve a show cause notice for which the registered person has to reply. Once the registered person reply, the proper officer can take a final call, guys. So not only in this case, whenever the proper officer is taking any decision which might have a negative impact on the registered person, first he should be given a show cause notice. He should be given an opportunity to explain. Only then the proper officer can take a final decision, guys. Got it? And even here, from the time the cancellation proceedings is started till it is completed, the registration would be suspended. And during suspension period, a person cannot make any outward taxable supply, he cannot file any returns, and also he cannot even get a refund of any amount of tax even though he is eligible under GST. So during suspension period, I will repeat, he cannot make any taxable outward supply, he cannot file any returns, and also any refund will not be processed for him during suspension period. And when the suspension will end, sir? When cancellation proceedings is completed. When cancellation proceedings will be completed, sir? When the cancellation order is passed by the proper officer, or else he told, okay, we will drop the cancellation proceedings here, your registration will continue. Continue. Clear? In any of this case, the suspension will end. Suspension will end. So if proper officer has passed cancellation order, in that case, suspension also will end along with registration. Whereas if proper officer has asked registered person, okay, you can continue with your registration, suspension will end and registration will continue. Registration will continue, guys. Got it? Yes. So at the end of cancellation proceedings, it can be of two. There can be any two of the scenarios or outcomes. One is the cancellation order is passed. That means registration has come to an end. The other one is the proper officer will pass an order telling the registered person, okay, you can continue. You can continue. In that case, suspension will end, but registration will continue, guys. Okay, sir. Coming to this. So 29 subsection 2. So proper officer has to issue show cause notice whenever there is any contravention by the registered person as per section 29 subsection 2. Read with rules. So within 7 working days, the registered person has to reply to the show cause notice. He has to reply once he receives the show cause notice. He has to reply for it within 7 working days. Sorry, within 7 days. Okay. And once the registered person has replied to the show cause notice, now the proper officer has 30 days time. So within 30 days, he can either accept the reply and drop the proceedings. Drop the proceedings means registration will continue. Registration will continue. Registered person is happy. Okay. The other one is reject the reply and pass what? Cancellation order. Pass the cancellation order means registration has come to an end. That's all. Game over under GST. Okay, sir. Fine. So 29 subsection 2 we have covered. Then 29 subsection 3 is telling the cancellation of registration under this section shall not affect the liability of the person to pay tax and other dues under this act or to discharge any obligation for any period prior to the date of cancellation. Okay, means I'll just explain. Assume the effective date of cancellation is from 1st July 2025, guys. Okay. Now for the period after this, should I file the returns? Should I pay GST and all? No, no. On or after July, I need not file returns, I need not pay any tax. But for the period prior to this, like assume April, May, June and all, if return is still pending, should I file it? Yes. And if any tax dues is still pending along with interest, late fee or penalty, should I pay it? Yes. Even if it is after 1st July, still I should file my pending returns and pay the tax dues, guys. And as long as I pay the tax dues, the interest will be keep on accumulating. Burning interest 18% per annum as per section 50. Yes, sir. Okay, na? Yes. Fine. So, just because my registration is cancelled, can I take a protection telling I will not pay my tax dues, go? I will not file my pending returns, go? No, no. I have to make all those things good. Okay. Next, 29 subsection 4. The cancellation of registration under the SGST Act or UTGST Act, as the case may be, shall be deemed to be the cancellation of registration under this Act. So if my registration is cancelled under the respective SGST Act, it is deemed cancellation even under CGST Act, guys. Got it? Yes. Then 29.5 is talking about the GST liability. Interesting provision. Please pay attention. Every registered person whose registration is cancelled shall pay an amount equivalent to credit of input tax in respect of inputs held in the stock and inputs contained in semi-finished or finished goods held in stock on the day immediately preceding the date on which such cancellation or the output tax payable on such goods, that is if it is actually sold, whichever is higher. If you guys remember, when we were covering schedule 2 in chapter 2, which talks about the supply of goods or supply of services. So if a taxable person ceases to be a taxable person, means when his registration is cancelled, whatever stock he is having, is it a supply of goods? Yes. If you remember, I had mentioned there, we will cover it along with section 29 in registration topic. Okay. So when registration of a registered person is cancelled, whatever stock he is having, it is deemed to be supplied by him. It is a supply of goods tax. So how much GST he has to pay on it depends on. Okay, just a minute. Listen here. Okay. Assume the registration is cancelled effectively from 1st July 2025. So we need to see what is the stock he is having on 30th June. Stock of what? Raw material, WAP and finished goods. This is something which you would have already purchased and you would have already claimed credit. Clear? When his registration was effective. But now his registration has been cancelled. So on the preceding day, whatever stock he had for which he has already claimed credit, we are taking it. Okay. So ITC already claimed on or GST on transaction value means if the stock is sold, what is the transaction value? On that calculate GST and take whichever is higher. Pay that. Sir, what if on this stock still credit is not claimed? Then straight away you can take GST on transaction value. Clear? Because this would be 0. GST on transaction value, whichever is higher, straight away you will get this one. This is for the stock of raw material, WAP and finished goods. Sir, what if it is capital goods? Assume I had purchased capital goods when my registration was effective or it was active and I have already claimed credit on it. But on 30th June, I am having it as in my inventory. Okay, capital goods. Okay. So how much tax should I pay? ITC, which is already claimed, minus 5% per quarter or part of the quarter for the period I have used it year. That is before cancellation of my registration. For how many quarters I have used. For each quarter, I have to reduce 5%. Okay. Or GST on the transaction value, which is sale value. Whichever is higher, I need to pay. And this is very similar to section 18.6, guys. So even in section 18.6, which is we are talking about ITC in special cases, if any capital goods or plant and machinery is purchased on which ITC is claimed, after using it for business for few months or few years, if I am selling it, then should I pay GST on it? Yes. What is the term? ITC, which I already claimed, I need to take minus 5% for each quarter or part of the quarter I have used it from the date of purchase till the date of sale. Then I need to compare that with the GST on transaction value. Whichever is higher, I have to pay. Here also same provision. Under section 29 subsection 5 also same provision. But 18 subsection 6 is applicable when I am selling my capital goods or plant and machinery, but I am not closing down my business. I will continue with my business. Whereas 29 subsection 5 is applicable when, sir, I am closing down my business. My registration is cancelled. That is when. Got it? Yes. The provision is same, but situation is not same. 18.6 is you have sold the asset, but you will continue with your business. Whereas 29.5 is your business is closed, registration is cancelled, like that. Okay. Let me just read it. The second paragraph. Provided that in case of capital goods or plant and machinery, the taxable person shall pay an amount equal to the input tax credit taken on the said capital goods or plant and machinery reduced by 5% per quarter or part of the quarter, or the tax on transaction value of such capital goods or plant and machinery under section 15. That is nothing but GST on that sale value. Whichever is higher. I have given same as section 18.6 means the calculation is same as 18.6. Got it? Yes, sir. Fine, guys. So we are done with section 29. Then, now, once a cancellation order is passed by the proper officer, A copy of that will be sent to the registered person telling your registration is cancelled. Now, after receiving the copy of cancellation order, the registered person, dumb, sir, my registration is cancelled. So, is there any way to get back his registration? Yes, he can ask for revocation of cancellation, guys. Okay. But revocation of cancellation is possible only when the proper officer has taken an action to cancel the registration by issuing show cause notice as per section 29 subsection 2. Sir, what if registered person he himself has asked for cancellation and registration is cancelled? Can he ask for revocation? No, sorry. In this case, revocation is not possible. Only as per section 29 subsection 2, when proper officer has sent a notice and cancelled the registration by passing cancellation order, only then, after receiving the cancellation order, the person can apply for the revocation of cancellation as per section 30, guys. As per section 30. What is the procedure? I have tried to simplify it by way of chart. Okay, here. Look, communication of cancellation order by proper officer. So you would have sent a copy of that to a person whose registration is cancelled. So once the copy is received by that person whose registration is cancelled within 90 days, which can be further extended by another 180 days by the commissioner or the person authorized by him, but not below the rank of additional commissioner or joint commissioner. Okay, in simple, the time limit to apply for revocation of cancellation is within 90 days of receiving the cancellation order, which can be further extended for another 180 days maximum. 90 plus 180. Okay. And once application for revocation of cancellation is made, the proper officer will have 30 days time. He can either accept the application and pass revocation order. So if he pass revocation order means the person will get back his registration. Will he continue as a registered person? Yes. Happy, happy. Okay. If not, if he is not accepting it, straight away he cannot reject, first issue show cause notice. So within 7 working days, once the person receives the show cause notice, within 7 working days, he has to reply to the show cause notice. And he has replied. Within 30 days now, the proper officer either have to accept or reject. If he accept the reply, he will pass the revocation order and the registration will continue for the person. Or else, if you reject, then the cancellation will continue. The cancellation will continue. Yes. Sir, once a person registration is cancelled, can he apply for a fresh registration again? Yes, he can. Okay. Now, they have also told, now if revocation order is passed, then a return has to be filed within 30 days, guys. What is it? I will just read out the last part. All returns due for a period from the date of order of cancellation or effective date of cancellation of registration till the date of order of revocation of cancellation of registration have to be furnished within a period of 30 days from the date of the order of revocation. Okay, just a minute. Now, we already discussed. Now, assume my registration is cancelled from 1st July 2025. So, for the period after this, should I file the returns? No. Should I pay tax? No. But for the period before this, if there is any returns pending or liability pending, should I make it good? Yes. Even if it is after this, I should file all that returns and pay the tax. Okay, sir. But what if I get back my registration? The cancellation has been revoked. Then, just a minute. Yeah, here. Okay. Assume, guys, the effective date of cancellation as per the cancellation order passed as per section 29 is 1st October 2025. Okay. So if there is any returns for the period before this, we should file the returns and pay all the liabilities. Okay. But for the period after this, that is October, November, December and all, should I file the returns? No. But the person whose registration was cancelled, he applied for revocation, he requested for revocation of cancellation, and on 1st January 2026, revocation order was passed as per section 30. Revocation order was passed. In that case, for the period between this, that is October, November and December, should returns be filed? Yes. Within 30 days from the revocation order, the return for the period from 1st October to 31st December, that is in between this, has to be filed. You would have not supplied anything in between this, at least nil returns has to be filed. Even if zero activity is there, at least nil returns has to be filed, guys. Is that clear? So I repeat, Once revocation order is passed, assume in my example it is on 1st January. Within 30 days from 1st January, the returns has to be filed for October, November and December. Sir, which returns, sir? Whichever you regularly file, that is GSTR 1, 3B or whichever returns, which the person was filing when his registration was active. Okay. And guys, one section under ITC chapter I had kept pending. That is section 16, subsection 6. I will cover it now. Listen. Now, assume I had 2 lakh credit year before 1st October. I was supposed to claim it, but before that my registration is cancelled. So can I go ahead and claim it here? No, not possible. I had 2 lakh credit in my electronic credit ledger before 1st October, but my registration is cancelled from 1st October. Now I cannot claim the credit. Okay. And I got back my registration on 1st January. In between this, whatever is the maximum time limit to claim credit as per section 16.4, no, that is 30th November of next financial year, or actual date of filing annual return, whichever is earlier, that is expired. Assume on 30th November, the time limit to claim credit is over. So this 2 lakh is gone. Whatever credit I was supposed to claim, for which time limit is over, is gone. No, guys. So for any credit, if the time limit given under section 16.4 has expired in between this time period, section 16 subsection 6 is telling we will give you another 30 days from the revocation order to claim that credit. So as per section 16 subsection 6, you see, claim ITC whose period is expired between this. Within what time that credit has to be claimed? Means your time to claim credit has expired in between this. So can you still go ahead and claim that credit? Yes, within 30 days from 1st January. That is the date on which revocation order is passed. Hope you understood. Oh. Sir, what if by chance the time period to claim credit 2 lakh was already over before 1st October? The time limit to claim credit of 2 lakh was already over before 1st October. For example, assume the annual return was already filed on 15th September 25. So what is the deadline to claim credit, guys? Actual date of filing annual return or 30th November, whichever is earlier, 15th September. So the deadline to claim credit is over already, as expired before this. So in that case, will I get a benefit of section 16 subsection 6? No, I will not get that benefit, because section 16 subsection 6 clearly told if the time limit given under section 16 subsection 4 to claim credit has expired in between these dates, that is from the effective date of cancellation till the revocation order date. In between this, if the time limit to claim credit as per section 16.4 has expired, then we will still give you 30 days time from the date of revocation order to claim that credit. Guys. So this is the provisions covered in section 16 subsection 6, guys. Got it connected to section 29 and 30. Very important, guys. If they want to really keep challenging questions in the exam, they can connect like this. So please be very careful, because you have to connect and explain section 29, 30, 16.4 as well as 16.6. Make sure that you do it. Got it? Yes, sir. So finally, guys, so we are done all the sections with respect to registration topic. So almost all the heavyweight chapters we have covered. So we'll just go to the section list and mark whatever we have covered under CGST Act, guys. So we have covered all this section 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Yes, sir. Guys, I know by now you will be little tired, mentally exhausted. Sir, still so much is there. I need to study other subjects also. Taxation alone is taking so much of time. Guys, that's okay. Good things will take time, and the knowledge, whatever you are acquiring now, you will also be proud of. You will also be satisfied. Correct? Yes. And in final, guys, there are two tax papers, DT for 100 marks, IDT for 100 marks. So please make sure that at intermediate level, whatever extent it is possible, acquire the knowledge in a best possible way, so that it will also help you at final level, because the same provisions you would be learning even at final level, but maybe little advanced and few additional topics. So if you have learned the tax properly at intermediate level, then final becomes easy for you guys. Group 2 especially in final becomes a cakewalk for you. So I know you guys are tired, but still you are willing to give your best. Do it, guys.